We are already moving products that were in the R&D labs into applications, and it's only been a few months. So knowing Steve and Helen really well at SHD, we started working with them. The cultures were just a great fit, and the strategy was a great fit, so we just put the two companies together. How do you scale a materials company? When in this industry, it's fairly asset heavy at times. Putting the two companies together under Cambium's new manufacturing vertical for composites just made a ton of sense. We really are an AI-led, innovative group. We create new monomers, new polymers that have never existed before. I have a database now that I can feed into our AI machine and let it actually do things quicker.
Thanks, Brett, for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We have met already yesterday during the Investor Day. So here we are at JEC 2026, JEC World, the place to be where the entire community meets and also customers are coming. I mean, we have read a lot about SHD in the last few months, but to start at the beginning, could you share a few words about yourself, how you came into composites and how you came into SHD?
Sure. So I started off as a mechanical engineer, ended up with the Brunswick Group building boats for Bayliner, got into automation and looking at streamlining composite manufacturing, migrated from boats to automotive and heavy truck, and then migrated from there to Hexcel Corporation, where I spent about 20 years. Moved from there to private equity, putting together some different platforms, and then was really excited to find the Cambium team, sort of a venture capital backed group, so a little different. And then having some history in composites and knowing Steve and Helen really well at SHD, we started working with them doing some tolling manufacturing. And then the cultures were just a great fit and the strategy was a great fit, so we just put the two companies together. It's been a really good path.
Okay, so now you brought us through a lot of topics in a few sentences. Maybe going back to, you said you're an engineer by education. You did quite some journey as an engineer, different roles, and then you switched to private equity. How does that happen?
So as an engineer at early 90s in composites, right? A lot of it was wet layup, early prepregs, a lot of vacuum infusion, a lot of compression molding. So you learned a lot about tooling and processes, and I think the industry was still relatively young in understanding the carbon fibers and the translation of fibers into resins and really the advanced materials we have today that we're really operating on. And then when I joined Hexcel, I went from being more of a molder, part-making process person to the materials side. So you start to learn about resin fiber interfaces, you start to learn about prepreg structure, you start to learn about product formats and how you manipulate product forms to fit different automation processes or hand layup or in autoclave or out of autoclave at more of the higher end of performance. And so when I joined Hexcel, it was just after 9/11, so the company was early days and starting to regrow into aerospace. And I think the company really started to take on different legs as aerospace took off with Boeing and Airbus and the engine partners and so on. So I ended up in Europe as an expat for a few years, working with some large wind energy OEMs and the airframe OEMs. And we started to win bigger programs, right? So then when I went back to the States, I took all that engineering background into more plant management, project management, and engineering of the equipment and the processes. So I was really excited to be part of the team that built out the asset base for the industry. So, precursor lines, fiber lines, prepreg lines, filmers, ATL machines, just the whole range of technologies. And so we did that, and great company, great experience, a wonderful life, actually, really a lot of fun. And then when COVID hit, right? So build rates go to zero. Hexcel has to do some things a little differently. So it was a good time to switch out of the public corporate world into sort of a private equity world. And by then I was older, had a bunch of different experiences, and could bring a different value to building platforms and running businesses versus just more of the technical side.
So in private equity, your role was also to become an operator when you were acting on some deals?
Yeah, so in private equity, I was an operating partner. So you work on the deal side, right? Formulating an investment hypothesis. You work on target identification. You work on the acquisition side from a diligence perspective and a management team assessment perspective, and you look at the assets in the market and the technology capabilities, and what can this company do, and where can you take it? And if you're fortunate enough to acquire a company, then somebody has to work with the management team, sort of as the chairman of the board, right? So so I stepped into that role a few times, working with management teams to, address strategy, address leadership teams, further M&A, right? So the private equity model is often to get a platform and then bolt more things onto it. So the M&A is never done, and you continue to grow it that way. So I did that for 5 years. It was a good experience, a lot of fun. Great. I was with a great group of people, and then decided just to take some time off, and then found venture capital, which is a whole nother experience, right? So it's been good.
Cool. So yeah, you mentioned on the investment side is also about aggregating assets. We like to use the term stronger together in the composites field. So let's come back to the material side and a bit what makes SHD. You can share a bit about the legacy, the portfolio of the company. What are you providing on the market?
So SHD was started by Steve and Helen Dowdy about 16 years ago. Steve had a vision for a prepreg technology that he could build and grow on. It's an amazing, efficient prepreg capability. He's built many machines over the last 16 years, built facilities in Europe, in Slovenia, in the UK, in Sleaford, North Carolina, in Mooresville, and then in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And over the years, built up a pretty good chemical engineering, chemistry team, developed a portfolio across the whole, low temperature, recreation, sport, automotive, up through high performance motorsport, into, general aviation, drones, tooling. So very good, broad composite portfolio, all in the epoxy BMI side. And a really great business. And then you look at where they're at in their lifespan, right? And it's not uncommon for a company to do really well, to grow to a certain level, and then need maybe some different skill sets or different capabilities or different investment, cash flow capabilities to build inventories and so on to help it continue to grow. So we were working with Steve and Helen, and we found them at that inflection point, and we found an opportunity from a cultural fit, to step in and really help them with their journey and their path, and help out SHD with its journey and its path, and make it something much bigger. So it's just a really good fit on our outstanding platform.
Yeah, you're mentioning cultures also. Obviously, when you bring companies together with capital, it's about bringing people together to make something better. On Cambium, could you describe what the company is doing, how old they are, and what is secret sauce, the product?
So Cambium is 7 years old, US-based, El Segundo, California, venture capital backed. It's a group of people put together who believe that you could work with the government to solve advanced materials problems that other companies weren't solving. So these might be really hard challenges or niche markets where large companies don't want to step in, they don't want to make the investment. So they've developed an AI capability. So we're an AI-led advanced materials company developing solutions for the future that other people are not developing. And it's a variety of verticals at this point. We have composites, we have optics, we have several others that we're working on. But the idea was build a capability to invent solutions, often requiring new materials. So we're not reformulating industry standard materials. We have reactors, we create new monomers, new polymers that have never existed before. We create them to work functionally in different systems. And then I joined that board about a year ago, and as they were starting to think about scaling, so they had developed quite a few solutions. There were quite a few customers who wanted to start to see these solutions scale. And then you say, well, how do you scale a materials company? When in this industry, it's fairly asset heavy at times, right? Having some history in composites and knowing Steve and Helen really well at SHD, we started working with them doing some tolling manufacturing. And then the cultures were just a great fit and the strategy was a great fit. So we just put the two companies together. Do that is through an M&A opportunity, right? So the Cambium model that they've taken from other investments they've made was to look at that and say, okay, to scale fast, who should we scale with? And they were doing some toll manufacturing with different companies. And one of the companies we happened to be doing some toll work was SHD, because they have very flexible, very simple assets that could actually run our materials really well. And so through that relationship and watching the team at mini dinners just continue those dinners into brainstorming sessions and creating new products on the fly, you kind of got the idea that this is just a natural fit. And I think once that decision was made, putting the two companies together under Cambium's new manufacturing vertical for composites just made a ton of sense.
It's super interesting because on the floor we see a lot of tech founders, so companies starting with a technology and eventually then solving a problem. And now we also had an interview 2 days ago with a company with a similar journey, coming rather from governmental military side with known issues, not known solutions, but then jumping in and trying to find a solution either by innovating in-house or aggregating assets, basically. So that's what you are telling. It's really, you know there's a problem, there might not be a solution out there, or if there is, scouting it, integrating it, and then providing a solution.
Yeah, I think Cambium is becoming a pretty big success story around the idea that a group of really smart people can work with the government to get program project funding to develop solutions that are required for industry that other companies may or may not be doing. And then provided they then have the venture capital backing and the support of a venture capital group to scale that, M&A becomes a valid path to do that, provided you do it well. I mean, to be fair, most M&A destroys value, right? So you have to be very careful on how you do it. But in this case, it's truly one of those deals where two cultures came together. The technology that Cambium was trying to commercialize and the assets and the team that SHD had just was a perfect marriage. So that provides us immediate scale between Europe, the UK, and the US to support a variety of aerospace, Department of Defense, fast race motorsport type customers who want these higher temperature, higher performing chemistries, right? So it's been a very busy 13 weeks, but it's been really good. And I think we're already seeing at the show here quite a bit of pull on what we can do, taking the advanced concepts and solutions from Cambium through a commercialized, aerospace qualified, proven manufacturing stream straight to the customers, right? So we are already moving products that were in the R&D labs into applications, and it's only been a few months.
So you mentioned 13 weeks, pretty busy. I assume you will still remain a bit busy in the next few weeks, especially after JEC World. Lots of requests, interest.
Yep.
But it seems also you are streamlining your processes, so to bring what you had in-house to the market.
Yeah.
How do you envision the next few months? Or do you have some special launches? What you will show to the market?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So there's a bunch of different ways we look at the opportunity here. So we have an engineering team at SHD. We build our own equipment. So we're able to do that very rapidly. I don't need to wait 12 months or 18 months for equipment. We can do it in a third of that time. We announced very quickly building and commissioning what was essentially a half-finished wide UD line, right? So we immediately got that finished up so we could make the broader products. We do wide fabrics today, but all of the unidirectional's narrower. So now we have a wide UD line. We've already started the next one. We're working on some different filming technology, some different coating technology, some different ways to apply the products. Between SHD and Cambium, we had a pipeline of projects sort of stuck in R&D. Sometimes they need a little bit of market pull, testing enhancement with customers. Sometimes they need a little bit of chemistry adjustment. We've tried to accelerate that very quickly. So we've launched 2 new products in the last month. One is MTC 700, which is a high-performance toughened epoxy prepreg, which is as good, if not better, than most things in the market, particularly around impact and crush and things that really fast motorsports care about. We've launched MTC 575, which I think today, and the feedback we're getting here at the show and with the early launch customers, is the best visual structural prepreg in the world. So you can now, we qualified a couple of weavers. We were very careful on the types of fabrics we wanted to use to make it truly visual, truly qualified. And then we've got a resin chemistry that is just beautiful when you want to look at it. And that's a structural capability. We're switching that over to a very similar system that's fire retardant. So now you can put that into general aviation. You can put it into certain types of race cars, certain type of vehicles where you need FR protection. As I look forward, the Cambium technology platform that we're commercializing is mostly higher temperature applications at the moment. And we have a little bit of an opportunity in between the very highest temperature thionitriles and sort of our middle range bio capability that does a nice char. So I think you'll see a range of products fill that in the next 8 weeks, 10 weeks, right? So one of the things that's really great about the combination of the companies is Cambium. I mean, we really are an AI-led innovative group. So we have AI engineers who are writing code, writing our own software that actually look at the chemistry environment that's available to us, all the different polymers and what we can do differently. Mm-hmm. AI needs data to become smarter and to look more at what could be. So it's if you don't teach an AI system, it's not very smart. So one of the things we also got with SHD is a 16-year history of making a full range of portfolio products. And the SHD speed and service model is that they've developed all these resin chemistries, but they're fairly agnostic as to what fiber it goes on. Okay. So what they do, though, is they test everything before they release it, right? So at the end of the day, I have a database now that is almost second to none that I can feed into our AI machine and let it actually do things quicker. So not only did we get a rapid response, qualified, capable manufacturing platform with really well-trained people, we got a massive data knowledge capability that we can feed back into our AI system to actually speed up the innovation side. So it's a win-win on both sides, which is, I think, unique for the Cambium SHD story.
Cool. I mean, that sounds exciting for sure. And obviously, you are still busy regrouping these 2 companies and leveraging the capabilities. Do you plan, or are you open to further acquisitions, including other assets into this group?
Yes, I think we're going to remain inquisitive. I think if you look out through the show at large composite players, there's a level of vertical integration that goes on. Mm-hmm. Some of that is enabling system capability between fibers and resins and product and process. And some of it is trying to capture more of a market value add. And I think we'll look at both opportunities on a piece-by-piece basis and decide what makes sense. I think we want to protect the culture of the company that we're building. I think we need to protect very much the speed and the responsiveness and the customer service focus that Steve and Helen and Cambium have built. But but there's definitely product forms, materials, and process enablement that we need to add to that platform over time. So we will remain inquisitive, and we've got great founders and backers and tons of support going forward.
Cool. I mean, we'll certainly remain watching you, what happens in the next few weeks, months, and years. Thanks for being here, Brett.
Thanks for having me.
It was a pleasure.
Yeah, it's been great. Thank you.
And we'll have a look at the booth on your products.
Excellent. Yeah, come by anytime. Thanks.
Thank you.